Hey everyone, today we're going to tackle a part of Figma that, let's be honest, can be a little confusing for a lot of designers. We're diving deep into components, variants, and properties, the stuff that will seriously make your workflow faster, way smarter, and just scalable.
All right, let's jump right in. So here's the game plan. We're starting with the basics, what I'm calling Figma's 3 pillars. Then we'll build on that, mastering main components, unlocking variants, and finally getting into the really cool stuff, the 4 component properties. It's going to be a quick trip, but trust me, it'll totally level up your skills.
Okay, first things first. We've got to talk about the foundation. Before you can build any of those awesome, complex designs in Figma, you absolutely have to get a handle on these 3 core pillars.
So I love that the source material we're looking at today kicks off with this exact question. And it's a really good one, right? Because so many of us get pretty good at one of these, but making all 3 work together, that's where the magic and sometimes the struggle happens. And here they are, the big 3: auto layout, components, and variants. Now, most of us get the hang of auto layout pretty quickly, right? It's awesome for making things responsive. But the real power, the stuff that makes you super efficient, that lies in mastering components and variants. And that's exactly what we're going to focus on.
Okay, let's get into the good stuff. We're going to start with the absolute bedrock of any design system, the component. The whole idea is simple, but man, is it powerful. It's all about this mantra: create it once and then use it everywhere.
So what is a component, really? Just think of it like a master template or a cookie cutter. Anything you plan on using more than once, buttons, icons, little profile cards, you name it, you should turn it into a component. Seriously, it'll save you so much time. So the second you create a component, Figma calls that the main component. And you'll always be able to spot it because it has this special icon, those 4 little solid diamonds all together. This is the boss, the parent. It's your single source of truth for that element.
Now, any copy you make of that main component is called an instance, and it gets its own little icon too, a single hollow diamond. So if the main component is the parent, then all these instances are its children. And the key thing is, they're all linked back to that parent.
This is the part you really got to get. It's a one-way street. Whatever you do to the parent, change its color, its size, the text, boom, that change flows down to all of its children, all the instances, automatically. But, and this is super important, if you tweak a child, that change only affects that one instance. It doesn't flow back up to the parent. This setup gives you this amazing central control over everything.
Okay, so you've got the whole parent-child thing down. Awesome. Now, let's kick it up a notch and talk about variants. This is where your workflow goes from just good to really, really efficient.
So, what are variants? Well, they let you bundle a bunch of different versions of one component into a single, neat little package. The perfect example is a button, right? It's never just one button. You've got the default state, what it looks like when you hover over it, when it's clicked, maybe when it's disabled. Instead of having 4 separate components, variants let you combine them all into one super smart component.
And getting this set up is super easy. You just make your different states, like your hover button and your active button, as separate components. Then you just select them all and click Combine as Variants. And that's it. Figma wraps them all up in this single container with a nice purple dotted line around it.
And here is the big payoff. Just look at your assets panel. Instead of it being a total mess with a default button, a hover button, an active button, and a disabled button, you just have one button. That's it. You drag that one component out, and then over in the Properties panel, you get this simple little drop-down to switch between all its states. It is so clean and so much better.
Okay, this brings us to the very top of the pyramid, the final, most powerful piece of the puzzle: component properties. If you think of variants as a way to organize different states, think of properties as your master control panel for customizing every little detail of your components.
So there are 4 main types of these properties. We've actually already seen the first one, the variant property. That's the drop-down for states like hover or active. The other 3 are the Boolean property, which is for turning things on and off, the instant swap property for swapping out things like icons, and the text property for, well, for changing text. Let's see how each one works.
First up is the Boolean property. Don't let the name scare you. It's literally just an on/off switch. So imagine you have a button that sometimes has an icon and sometimes doesn't. You can create a property for it. Maybe call it Show Icon. Right here, the switch is flipped to on, so you see the icon. And then, click, just like that. You flip the switch to off, and poof, the icon is gone.
The best part? You didn't have to detach the instance or go digging through layers to delete anything. It's just a clean, simple toggle. So good.
All right, next is the instance swap property. This one is a total game changer, especially for anything with icons. So the way it works is you start by building your button, and you put a default or maybe just a placeholder icon component right inside it.
Now over on the side, you have your whole library of icons you can use. A profile icon, a settings icon, you get the idea. And here's the crucial part. Every single one of those icons has to be its own main component. That's what tells Figma, hey, these things are interchangeable.
And here's where the magic happens. You apply that instant swap property to the placeholder icon in your button. Now, when you select an instance of that button, you get a beautiful drop-down menu in the Properties panel that lets you swap that icon for any other one in your library. Instantly. No more dragging, dropping, resizing. It's just done.
And last but not least, the text property. Now, this one might seem like a small thing, but oh man, the amount of clicks it saves is huge. You know the old way, right? You have to double-click and then double-click again to get deep inside the instance to edit the text. Well, with the text property, you just get a simple field right there in the main Properties panel. You see it, you type, you're done. It's so much faster.
You know, the person behind our source material really nailed it when they said the real beauty here is when you put it all together. Just picture it. One single component where you can change its state from default to hover, swap out the icon, and change the text, all from one little panel on the side. That right there is the definition of an efficient workflow.
So at the end of the day, why does any of this matter? Because it completely changes the way you work. It's the difference between doing tedious, repetitive, manual labor and building a smart, scalable system that does all the heavy lifting for you. You spend less time fixing mistakes and more time actually designing. And that's our whirlwind tour of Figma's component system. The power here is just undeniable, right? It really shifts your role from just being a designer to being a system builder. So the only question I have for you is, now that you've seen what's possible, what amazing things are you going to build with it?